Good morning. We are on lesson 14 today of our module 1 in Wit and Wisdom. We are continuing with A Color of His Own by Leo Lionni, and we have a lot of writing to do today. So please make sure that you have your knowledge and response journal ready to go, okay? Have your journal and a pencil and be ready to get started. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Make sure I turn both of these on so you can hear it. All right.
Welcome back, friends. I'm Sue Sabella, your Great Minds teacher, and let's get ready to do some powerful thinking today. Today you'll need A Color of His Own, handout 18A, which is the informative writing checklist, assessment 17, which we started last time, your Wit and Wisdom journal, and a pencil. Pause here to gather what you need and just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so you do have a digital copy of A Color of His Own, and you do need your pencil and your journal, but the other two things will be provided to you in the Google Classroom page. So you just need your digital copy and your journal and a pencil.
As an author, Leo Lionni has a very important message for us in A Color of His Own. That message is called a central message. And to be able to determine a central message, we have to do some pretty powerful thinking. And I know you're ready to do that. Please read the question to yourself, and then we'll read it out loud together. What is the important message in this text? As reading detectives, we learned that if we look closely at both the problem and the resolution, they provide clues, and they help us think about the rest of the story. When we think about the problem and resolution, it can also help us think about how a character grows or what that character learns. And I want you to think about the character. I want you to think about the chameleon. How did he feel at the beginning of the story? And then how did he feel at the end of the story? When we think about the beginning in relation to the end of the story, we can learn a lot about the character and how that character may have grown or changed. At this time, I'm going to stay off to the side so you can do some powerful thinking about this question. What does the chameleon learn? I want you to think about what his problem was at the beginning of the story, and what did he learn by the end of the story? And also, who helped him learn that lesson? Pause here to do some thinking, and then just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so in your journal, on page 24 in your journal, I want you to write the question, today's date, 9/28, and the question, what does the chameleon learn? And then I want you to think about what happened in the story. What happened? How did the chameleon feel at the beginning of the story? How did he feel at the end of the story? What did he learn throughout that story? Who did he learn it with? And I want you to write and tell me what you think the chameleon learned. And remember, guys, this is your opinion of what you think the chameleon learned, okay? So you can tell me anything that you think he learned based on what happened in the story. So what I want for you to do is go ahead and you can pause the video, write down this question, and then answer it. And then when you are ready to hit play, and you can go ahead and hit play, and then we'll move on, okay? So here's the question on page 24. So hit play, hit pause, copy the question, and then hit play after you have answered the question. Don't just write the question on the page, actually answer it first. Okay. So some people in the other class, they wrote things like they thought the chameleon learned that it was okay to be afraid, but to keep trying. Or they wrote that having a friend made change easier. Or they thought the chameleon learned that it was okay to be different and unique and not have to try to be like everybody else and have his own color. So there are lots of things that the chameleon could have learned. So you are going to upload a picture of that with your work today. So please make sure that you have answered it. I'm going to show you my screen again so we can keep going.
Now that you've had a chance to do some powerful thinking about the important message in the story, I'd like you to capture your thinking in your journal. So you'll pause the video here so you can jot down the important message from A Color of His Own into your journal. Again, take time to think and jot down your thinking so you're ready to share it with others. And remember, there's a check mark in the corner, so your teacher will take this opportunity to check in with you about the important message in this story.
Okay, so here is the next step. You just wrote and told me what you thought the chameleon learned. So if you guys remember, the important message, the central message of the story is what the author wants you to learn from the story. So when you told me what you thought the chameleon learned, that's pretty much what the author wanted you to learn from reading the story. So your answer on page 25 to what is the important message of A Color of His Own is going to be very similar to what you wrote for what does the chameleon learn, because what the chameleon learns is what the author wants you to learn as the reader. Okay, so on page 25 you are going to write, what is the important message of A Color of His Own? Okay, what do you think the author wanted you to learn from reading this story? Okay, so you can pause the video. Here is the question. Go ahead and get that written down, pause the video, and then you can answer it as well. And then just push play when you are ready to move on.
The last time that we worked together, you chose evidence for a paragraph to show how chameleon changes in the story. Now it's time to answer this question in writing. You'll write a full informative paragraph that answers this question. How does the chameleon change? Pause here to make sure you're ready with assessment 17 and your pencil.
Okay, so you are going to have a copy of this digitally uploaded into your Google assignment, okay? You do not physically have this piece of paper.
And then just hit play when you're ready to continue. Let's review the directions closely so we can make sure we have everything we need in our paragraph. Pause here to read these directions to yourself on your own copy of Assessment 17, and then just hit play so we can review them together.
Okay, so it says directions, write an informative paragraph with change to answer the question, how does the chameleon change? And we have to include in our answer a topic statement, at least 3 sentences with evidence, and the words first, then, and finally. All right, so remember last week we had the change chart on page 21. So we had the change chart on page 21 where we talked about how chameleon changed from the beginning to the middle to the end. And I told you to choose one piece of evidence from the beginning and circle it in yellow, one piece of evidence from the middle and circle it in blue, and one piece of evidence from the end and circle it in yellow. Remember how I told you to do that? If you have not done that yet, you have to do that before you can go any further with your activity, okay? So this again is on page 21. It's the change chart. You need 3 pieces of evidence, one from beginning, one from middle, one from the end, okay? So that is what you're going to need to finish writing your, oops, I don't know what I just did there. Where'd I go? There it is. Okay, sorry. You're going to need that to answer the question on page 23. How does chameleon change? How does a chameleon change? Now, my first class, we talked about it a lot on Friday, and we think that the easiest thing for us to do at this point would be to have a topic statement that we all use together, okay? So we came up with a good topic statement that talks about how the chameleon changed when he met a friend. So the topic statement that everyone in 2nd grade is going to use is, the chameleon changed when he met a friend. So underneath topic statement on your paper, you're going to write this topic statement. And then all of your evidence is going to show how he changed when he met a friend. I'll give you an example. If I were to write it based on the evidence I chose on page 21, I would say the chameleon changed when he met a friend. First, he wanted a color of his own. Then, he met an older, wiser chameleon. Finally, they decided to stay together and change color together. They lived happily ever after. So that shows my topic statement, 3 pieces of evidence, and I used first, then, and finally. Okay, those are your requirements. Okay, you do not have to use the same sentences I wrote. I would like for you to use other sentences if you can. That was just my example. All right, let's go back and see what Miss Sabella is going to tell us.
Write an informative paragraph with change to answer the question, how does the chameleon change? Include in your answer topic statement, at least 3 sentences with evidence, the words first, then, and finally. You've already completed step 1, so your evidence will be inside your graphic organizer already. But I wanted to share something that always helped me as a writer. Whenever I'm writing a full paragraph, I always drop in my sequencing words or my linking words right into my graphic organizer. So that can support me as I practice my paragraph out loud before I write, and it also helps me as a writer. Because my words are already in my graphic organizer, I remember to include my sequencing words or my linking words inside my paragraph. In the first column, I added the word first. In the middle column, I added the word then. And in my last column, I added the word finally. I'd like you to pause here so you can practice saying your evidence out loud before you write your informative paragraph. Don't forget to use the words first, then, and finally as you talk through your evidence. and then just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so you obviously do not have this piece.
Writing.
Sorry, hold on. You don't have that piece of paper, but we do have that in the change chart in your journal on page 21, okay? So what you're going to do is you are going to out loud say what you want your paragraph to say. Hold on, I need to stop this. You're going to say what your paragraph is going to say. Just like how I verbally told you what I wanted my paragraph to say, you're going to do that a few times before you actually write it on page 25, okay? So I want you to say it out loud several times first before you write it down, all right? Okay.
Just hit play when you're ready to continue. Writing checklists are such helpful tools as a writer. Today, I've highlighted in yellow what we've been practicing as a reader and as a writer. So your teacher will check in with you in the areas that are in yellow. We're going to check to see if you understand how the chameleon changed, if you can introduce the topic with a topic statement, if you included 3 sentences with evidence, and if you use the sequencing words first, then, and finally in the correct order. And as a challenge, we're also going to check to see if your evidence relates to the topic and it helps develop your points you're trying to make. Again, checklists are so helpful. So refer back to this, which means go back. Go back to your checklist as often as you need to, so you're sure you're including everything you need to in your writing. Here we go, powerful writers. Let's review the directions one last time, and then you'll hit pause for quite a while so you can write your informative paragraph. Here are the directions. How does the chameleon change? Write a paragraph that includes a topic statement, at least 3 sentences with evidence, and the words first, then, and finally. Be sure to use your graphic organizer that contains all of the evidence that you gathered and then selected to include in your paragraph. So you'll pause here to work and then just hit play when you're ready to wrap up our lesson.
Okay, so what you are going to do, I want you to go ahead and work on this now so that you don't forget about doing it later. So you are going to verbally out loud write, say what you want your paragraph to say. We already have the topic statement. Okay, so you're going to use the topic statement, and then you're going to tell me first, and then you'll use your first piece of evidence. Then you're going to say then, and use your second piece of evidence, and then say finally, and do your third piece of evidence. Okay, so I want you to do that a few times, and then on page 23, I want you to actually write it down. Okay, write the topic statement, your sentence about first, then, and finally. Okay, you need to actually write it today. And then once you're done, you're going to go to the class dojo and you're going to make yourself a video. There is an assignment posted with a video that you need to do reading what you wrote to me. Okay.
Wow, you are learning and growing so much, both as a reader and as a writer. What knowledge do you have that you'd like to share with someone else today? Find someone to share your knowledge with and keep sharing your knowledge. I will see you again real soon, powerful thinkers.
Okay, so that is what you're going to do today.